The galaxy rarely paid attention to the small blue world on the Orion Spur. To most star-faring civilizations, humanity was a curious anomaly. Ambitious, stubborn, loud, and constantly punching above its weight class. But they were also young. Too young, many believed, to shape the galaxy in any meaningful way. That assumption held true for centuries, until the Day of the Dead. In the archives of the Galactic Concordance, it was recorded as a minor incident, the destruction of a Terran medical frigate, the Solace, in disputed space. To humans, however, Solace was no ordinary vessel. It carried the volunteer doctors of Project Dawn, human physicians who traveled the stars offering free medical aid to any world that asked, regardless of species or politics. Their captain, Dr. Elara Miles, had once single-handedly contained a plague on the Gresht homeworld, saving nearly 2 million lives. The attackers, a breakaway splinter of the Korlak Dominion, hadn't known that. To them, it was simply a ship flying too close to their newly claimed territory. They destroyed it without warning and left no survivors. The galaxy assumed humans would grieve, file a diplomatic complaint, and move on. The galaxy was wrong. Fleet Marshal Adrian Locke stood in the command sphere of the TSS Resolute, watching the holo-display as the combined human armada assembled in high orbit. Ships translated in from jump space like silent streaks of blue fire. Frigates, cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, and vessels whose classification the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity had always been inventive, but vengeance, true, cold, focused vengeance, had turned that creativity into something terrifying. Locke wasn't a man who thirsted for war. He had been one of the supporters of Project Dawn. He believed in soft power, in diplomacy, in building bridges. But the Korlak splinter had shattered something far more fragile than a medical frigate. They had broken a promise, and humans repaid their debts, whether of kindness or of blood. "Marshal," his adjutant said quietly, "the Gresht delegation is requesting to board." Locke nodded. "Let them through." Moments later, the Gresht Primarch entered, an insectoid titan draped in ceremonial silk. His mandibles trembled as he spoke. "Human Locke," the Primarch said, bowing deeply. "Our people beg you to reconsider. Dr. Miles saved our world. We owe her everything. But this is too much. The Dominion splinter is reckless, but they are cornered animals. If you do this, the galaxy will burn." Locke met the alien's multifaceted gaze. "Primarch, you misunderstand. Humanity does not seek to burn the galaxy. It seeks to correct a mistake." "And what mistake is that?" "That the Dominion believed we would do nothing." There was no anger in his voice, only certainty. And that scared the Primarch more than rage ever could. The Korlak splinter expected a punitive strike, a single fleet, perhaps a temporary occupation of their outer worlds. They never imagined what it meant when humans said they were mobilizing. The first wave arrived in perfect silence, 100 stealth cruisers dropping from FTL directly into the heart of the splinter's territory. Their first and only transmission echoed across every Korlak channel. "This is the Terran Union. You destroyed a vessel of mercy. You murdered healers. We are here to repay what you have taken." The stealth cruisers disabled orbital defense networks with surgical precision. Not a single civilian target was harmed. Humanity's wrath was terrifyingly controlled, like a scalpel honed into a weapon. Then came the second wave, frigates deploying legions of Terran Rangers. They landed simultaneously on 11 Korlak fortress worlds. Every strike team moved with machine-like discipline, non-lethal for civilians, lethal for combatants, unstoppable in purpose. The third wave, however, was the one that would enter galactic legend, the Solace Banner Fleet. Every ship bore the crest of Project Dawn, a rising sun over an open palm. These ships didn't destroy, they liberated. Wherever the splinter had oppressed local populations, humans overthrew their tyrants. Wherever prisoners were held, humans freed them. Wherever famine had taken root, humans deployed emergency relief from their own stores. In a display that shook the foundations of the Concordance, humanity demonstrated that vengeance and compassion could coexist, and that combined, they were unstoppable. The galaxy watched with a mixture of awe and dread. The Korlak splinter, once defiant, began broadcasting pleas for mercy within 4 days. On the 5th day, Fleet Marshal Locke arrived at the Korlak War Citadel. Its supreme warlord, Varuk the Defiant, was brought before him in chains. Varuk spat defiantly. "Humans, you think yourselves righteous? You think the galaxy will praise you? You are nothing but vengeful animals." Locke didn't respond immediately. Instead, he activated a hollow image of Dr. Ilara Miles, smiling gently as she held a Gresht child in her arms. "This," he said softly, "is who you killed." Varuk sneered. "A doctor. 1 life. Worth all this?" Locke's eyes hardened, not with rage, but with something far colder. "She saved millions. We loved her, and we repay our debts." The Korlak warlord faltered, not because of the words, but because humanity meant them. It took 7 days for the Splinter faction to fall completely. In the aftermath, the Terran Union did something no civilization had expected. It refused to annex the conquered territory. Instead, they turned governance over to the liberated worlds, assisted reconstruction efforts with their own funds, and treated the newly freed populations as allies, not subjects. The galaxy had seen conquerors. It had not seen this. The debt of solace, historians later called it. It was the day the galaxy realized that humanity was not feared because it was violent. Humanity was feared because it remembered. It remembered kindness, it remembered cruelty, and it repaid both, with interest. Weeks later, the Primarch of the Gresht visited Earth. Standing before a memorial to the Solace, he addressed the gathered humans. "The galaxy trembles," he said, voice resonant with emotion. "Not because you wage war, but because you honor your fallen with justice. Dr. Miles lives on in every life you protect, in every tyrant you topple, in every world you heal. When humans repay a debt, they reshape the stars." Fleet Marshal Locke stood at the edge of the crowd, listening quietly. He didn't smile, but his chest felt lighter. Humanity had repaid its debt, not just with vengeance, but with compassion. And in doing so, it had shown the galaxy a truth it would never forget. Humans were dangerous not because they were strong, but because they cared.